All right, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute honor to sit down with my friend and the legend, Danny Hall, today. Danny, what is up?
What's happening, brother? So
Not
happy to be
much.
here.
Listen, the honor is absolutely all mine, man. You've had a long, luxurious career. It's been a one hell of a journey, I'll say. And, as I always start these podcasts off, man, is let's take it from the very beginning. I know your story, me and you had talked previously. It's definitely a unique journey into our beautiful sport. So, Danny, tell us all about it.
Well, I guess we're going to talk about how I got into racing. That's the best way. You don't need to know anything prior to that. When I was young, my brother David dropped out of high school and he joined a motorcycle club in Milwaukee. I'm from Milwaukee, Milwaukee Iron, Harley Davidson, and he joined the Saints Motorcycle Club. And pretty big gang, as if you want to call it. They were a club, but they were like the Outlaws, Saints, Heaven Devils. I remember as a kid, we lived on a corner, so there would be 200 Harleys sitting out in front of our house, and the cops would be across the street, and they didn't want to mess with these guys. But I started learning how to build Harleys with my brother, and he taught me about motorcycles when I was 10 years old. He was 15. We built a 67 XLCH 900, and we put 17-inch wheels on it and had it custom painted. We put it in the Milwaukee Rod and Custom Show, and we took first place. The trophy was way bigger than I was. I was blown away. So that was the beginning. And then to get into racing, I didn't have any intentions of getting into racing at all in motorcycle racing. It's a fairy tale story. We had talked about I'm one of the luckiest persons that I know. But at the end of this, I did earn the spot. I stumbled into it not knowing that this would be one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in my life. Truly, very rewarding. I had no idea what was going to go on, what was going to happen. I never really had a plan. I just let God take it over and put it in his hands. So to start, I was a bartender in Newport Beach. And I was at a Mexican restaurant, and I used to do bartending, and I used to do catering. And I did a party down in San Clemente, and I get down there, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, "I'm Fred Merkel," and his cousin was being married, and I go, "Yeah." He goes, "We were talking," and he goes, I love Mexican food, and I want you to come and do my party for Honda America." And he had just won the 1985 AMA Superbike Championship, he told me. And I looked at him, I go, "Yeah, I know all about that. I go to Orange County Fairgrounds every Friday night and watch him flat track." And he goes, No, that's not what I do." So you got it all wrong. So that night, we just hit it off like we were to be together as best of friends. We started hooking up. I was in Newport Beach. He was in Balboa, which is just down the street, if anybody knows about SoCal. And I used to go train with him, and we'd skimboard and surf and body surf, and we'd play golf together. And I kind of became his assistant. And I would take him to the airport, pick him up when he was flying over to Europe, and he was testing in 87 for European, because Steve McLaughlin was going to start World Superbike in 98. He was a part of that. And I used to take him to his appointments, his sponsors' appointments, Honda America. And I just kind of was a liaison for him and taking care of him and making sure he got to where he got to go. So in 88, Fred asked me to come over to Italy. So I went, and we raced a few Italian rounds and some World Superbike rounds. Fred won this championship that year in 1988. And then I went back to Italy the next year to continue training with Fred, and Norris Farrow was his engine builder, and we trained together, but those guys were busy. So Fred wanted me to be there. He kind of pushed me on to Oscar Rumi to get me over there and just be a friend with him and train with him. So he had somebody to hang out with, because we lived in a villa up in the mountains in Bergamo. We put in basketball hoops and we just trained. All we did was train. And so that summer, one of the mechanics quit, went back to Christchurch, New Zealand. And I had watched it a whole entire year. So we're talking now we're in 89. I watched the whole entire year of how these guys were building bikes because I wasn't allowed to touch them. I drove the transporter for European Championship, World Superbike Championship, and Italian Championship. We were running 3 categories. So when World Superbike would go to abroad, I concentrated on Italian Championship and European Championship. So this mechanic quits, and it was in the summer, and Oscar Rumi came up to me and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I looked at him and I went, "Yes, and I can do it better." That was just me. I looked at how they were doing stuff, and rat bikes win, but so do nice looking ones. So that's how I got started in that. And I was allowed to do the fairings, wash the wheels, put the show up, tear it down. And that was basically my job. And Fred got me on payroll until I got the okay from Oscar to do it. So that was pretty cool. Again, Oscar wanted Fred to be around someone who he knew and someone that he trusted. So I just put my head down. I worked harder than most guys. I tested everything, and with my riders, I pushed everything to the limits and then some. I didn't live inside a circle. I would work harder than you. I would get to work earlier than you. I would leave later when you went home. But I was willing to risk everything. But they were more calculated. I didn't put a rider at risk. But I had to find a spot for me. I was building engines, and listen, Fred dropped me in the middle of Biasono, Milan, Nembro, Bergamo, and that's where Ferrari's home track is. So I was surrounded by F1, the best mechanics, the best engineers, everything was there, and I was taught by those guys. It's pretty amazing doing engineering work with them. I learned a lot from those guys. And when I got off and running, we won the 1990 European Championship with Richard Arnez. We won the 89 championship, Italian champion with Baldassare Monti. Fred won, I think, in 89, 90. Then I won with Pirovano, and Pirovano, those 91, 92, we changed teams. But I was just willing to do more. And the engine side, the guys were so much better than me. There were jobs, Chris, that were available for chassis development and suspension development. And that's where the journey took me. I wanted to go that way because I used to tell the guys, build me the best engine you can. I want the best engine, and I'll put a chassis underneath it that'll support it and win. And in my career, I'm so fortunate. I won over 105 races. I look behind me. It's just like it's a joke. I can't. Some guys don't win one, And I was being with Fred Merkel. When I got off of Europe, I was with Pirovano. I could go anywhere. I worked for Scott Russell. One Daytona in 94, 95. One with Nicky 2002. One with Curtis on a 600 in 2001. And then we won with Fred with Muzzy on the team race in Daytona. So that's my career at Daytona. And then I put in I won 3 second places, 2 with Chandler and 1 with Bostrom. So that's my Daytona experience. So when I got to the US, I could pretty much go anywhere I wanted. Arian Racing, we were one of the winningest teams. We won with Nicky, Curtis. I was a part of a team. We won 5 national championships in 3 years. So we won 98 with Nick, 600. We won with Curtis, Formula Extreme. 99, Curtis won the double. He did the 600 and the Formula Extreme. I went to Kawasaki and we beat Eric Bostrom at Willow Springs, which was probably one of the greatest races I've ever seen in my life, because we had to get pole, get a point. We had to lead the most amount of laps. We had to win the race, and Bostrom had to finish third, and Hacking got him, and that's how we won. We won the championship. I'm getting goosebumps. One of the greatest races I've ever seen in my life. And that day, everybody in the paddock, everybody, Mladen, I mean, everybody were on the wall watching that race. It was, this is what's got to play out. And it happened. Unbelievable race. And if you ever watch that race, Curtis into the, I think it's 8 and 9, when the wind's hitting you from the side, and you could see on tape, he tucked it, picked it up. He tucked it, picked it up, tucked it, picked it up. I mean, he was down 3 times. Amazing. You could see the tire just fold underneath him, and he just kept it pinned. So, but that's kind of how I got into racing, and ended up working with Doug Chandler. I mean, I met
Doug was always one of my favorites growing up. I actually got his RX-7RR replica signed by him up in my other room. Yeah, Scott Russell, Aaron Yates, Jamie Hacken, Steve Crevier, Steve Rapp. I mean, dude, the list goes on. You've worked with so many legends of the sport, not only Nikki, but also Roger Lee Hayden, right?
All the Haydens.
Yeah, Tommy. I mean,
I worked with all the Goberts, all the Haydens.
Another legend, right? Gobert. So I met Anthony Gobert last year at Phoenix International Raceway in '99, I think. Yes, '99, Phoenix International Raceway, because it was the last time AMA went there. That was when Ben Bostrom was on the Ducati, the Vincent Hines Ducati. Anthony Gobert was his teammate. His brother Eric was on the Honda RC45 at the time, had a broken leg from the previous crash, the previous race. I remember walking up to Gobert, and I was like, Anthony, dude, what's up? And I was blown away by how laid back and cool he was.
Yeah.
And he had 3 girls around him, of course, right? But he was super cool, super laid back. Doug Chandler. I remember going up to him, Danny, and I had his helmet, and I'm kind of shaking because I was like, oh my God, there's Doug, right? I was like, Doug, you saw my helmet, right? He's like, nice helmet. I was just cheesing. I was like, yeah, it's your helmet. He signs it. I leave the track. I go by clear coat. I go to clear coat it. The signature runs. I was like, you got to be shitting me right now, right? Saturday rolls around. I walk up to him. I was like, Doug, dude, I apologize about this, but when you sign my helmet, I try to clear coat it, and you can see what happened. He's like, not a problem. Just don't clear coat it this time. I said, it's going on the shelf, my friend.
Yeah.
So
I had told you I'd met, we were racing, Kajiva was testing at Mugello, and it was Mladen and Doug. And then we were with Pirovano. So we were on opposite ends of that long straightaway. We were very far apart. And I went up there to go see Doug Chandler. I wanted to go talk to him. And when I saw him, I froze in the garage. I couldn't talk to him. I just absolutely froze. And I told him the story. I ended up being one of his mechanics. And I told him the story, and he laughed. He goes, why didn't you say something? I go, I was in shock. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I had Mick Doohan in Australia. I went into my pit box, and he's leaning on my Yamaha, and I was just like, oh my God, what are you, Mick, doing? I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't. I was starstruck, and I'm not like that. But I've been watching these guys, and they were just heroes to me. I loved their style, their riding style. And, Doug, I learned so much. I learned so much from Doug Chandler on suspension. It's amazing, that guy. His setup. He used to tell me, lower my bike all the way to the ground until it drags, and then bring it up and leave it. And that was the beginning of his setup. It doesn't drag. Now let's make it work. He wanted it low to the ground. And I built all my bikes like that. Everything was down on the ground where it should be, so that you don't get all this transition under brake and acceleration. You go into the corner flat, you come out of the corner.
Yeah. He was, to me, just watching him growing up, he was a different approach to racing, more methodical, more thought went into it versus I'll say my buddy Aaron Yates, right? Where Aaron, he thought to it too, but he'd grab the bull by his horn and just, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna bend it to my will and make it work.
Look at the size of the riders now, Chris. Like Aaron Yates, how big he was. Look at him now. Look at Jason DeSalvo. Look at Marquez. Look at all these guys. They're very small. Fred was a monster. He was strong.
Yeah, they are. You're right about that. They are. But his son Ashton, though, is pretty tall and lanky for sure. He's a good buddy of mine.
Chandler was tall, but he was 148 pounds.
Right. Always laid back and super quiet. That's one thing that always threw me off. Like Chandler was always a quiet guy, never making any noise. Just walked around with a smile on his face. People approached him, he'd just smile and say one or two things and just keep it moving.
He knew when he was good.
Yeah.
He knew when he had it. He knew when he was good. And he'd just say, he'd come into the pits and go, just give me one click on compression and leave it. We're racing. Not even go and try it. Not even try it. Just give me one click. That's how specific he was. He knew what he wanted.
You doing what you've been doing, working with all the riders in the unique position you're in, right? All riders have a different approach and a method they use to approach racing. In your personal opinion, who is the best person you work with as far as motorcycle setup and a full understanding of the motorcycle? And also with saying that, Danny, I know how important it is for a rider and his crew chief or his head mechanic to be one together where it's full trust, right? It's hard on a rider, especially when crew chiefs change and mechanics change, because you got to get to know the person and earn that trust, right? So when you're out there on that bike, you're thinking about, I wonder if this is done right. I wonder if this or that, right? It's always in the back of, in the back of the head. But in your opinion, who was the easiest guy to work with, and who was the most pain in your ass? You're like, dude, are you kidding me right now?
Pain in the ass, Curtis Roberts, by far. That bike, he'd come in, it doesn't stop, it doesn't turn, it doesn't accelerate. What do you want me to do? I can't help you, bro. Doesn't turn, it doesn't stop. Pain in the ass. But we found his way around. I think Doug Chandler was one. It was exceptional. Doug came. He knew what he was talking about. He taught me so much. The best crew chief I ever worked with would be Rick Hobbs, hands down. Rick taught me so much. We won 5 United States national championships together. Baby, they're on the wall, So Rick Hobbs taught me so much. At that time, Arian Racing was the winningest team in the paddock.
Yeah,
we were, and we couldn't be beat. And I remember Honda, when Curtis said it'd been 2001, I believe. 2000, Honda gave us the B kit because they got the new A kits for their bikes, and we beat them with the B kit.
They weren't happy either.
No. We beat them with the B kit. We made it work, just like Marquez beat, when he was on the B kit bike, and then they ended up putting him on an A bike. And look what he did. He went P1, 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 5 in a row. He won 10 races, 5 sprint and 5 races in a row. I mean, at that level. But he won on a B kit.
To me, when I see somebody do that, it's, man, they got the biggest heart and the determination to prove it to themselves that they can still do it. Marquez is such a unique case with all the injuries he's been facing, the diploma in his eye and that arm he wrecked real bad. Was it Jerez a couple years ago when he was on the Honda? Come back early, and
I think the rear tire broke his arm. That's what hit him.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Right, the bike, yeah.
The bike hit him.
But just to see him come back and ride for free, which is unheard of, right? Especially MotoGP on a B bike, and still did what he did. It's like, yeah, he's
it's amazing.
Definitely. So, have you ever been to the TT? Worked with any TT riders or
like Isle of Man?
Yeah.
I worked with Baldessari Monti, but I knew David Jeffries, who had died there. I knew Joey Dunlop. I didn't go over there. I never stepped foot on the island. Never did. But I knew guys that went over there. And I told some of them, don't go. Don't go. And some of them didn't come back. You know, David Jeffries was awesome rider for the UK Kawasaki. He'd show up at the World Superbikes at Donington Park and Brands Hatch.
Yeah,
So
David, he was always one of my favorites.
I knew a
V&M,
lot of the guys,
yeah,
but I didn't go over there.
yeah, it's on my bucket list. I definitely want to go to the TT. Funny you said David Jeffries. Huge fan of his. He was on the Swift Suzuki GSXR. Then he was on the Yamaha, the V&M Yamaha, the red and yellow.
Yep.
Big guy. Somebody you see, you're like, there's no way he rides a bike fast. You see his ass on the Ala, you're like,
He was
what?
big. He
Bro.
was a big.
And so fast. Like it was
He's a big
insane.
dude.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yeah, it's unique. You know, I met Curtis before, obviously his dad, and never met his other son Kenny though. Curtis to me was always one of those really shy guys too, as well.
Well, he had huge shoes to fill.
I know.
You know, he really did. And I met Curtis over in Europe. I think it was like former Yugoslavia, and he was on a 250. He was over there with Sparky Edmondson. Remember Sparky Edmondson? Every time you see Sparky, his hand was like this because it fit a beer. That was Sparky. You know, okay. But but I met Curtis there, and I talked with him, and he reminded me of Fred Merkel. He just the California kid and the young face and that. And I told him that, and I ended up working for him. But we had some really good times together. I mean, we won the Formula Extreme hands down. We went first, second. He won the championship, and then we put Jake Zemke on my bike at Willow Springs. And it's the only time Jake ever rode my bike, and he won on it. There's guys that I wish I could build for. Josh Hayes. There's so many guys I wish could have thrown a leg over my bike. But we dominated Formula Extreme that year. And then we went the next year, and Yoshimura came out with their new 1000, and Ben Spies just licked us up. He took it all. We couldn't build that 975 or whatever it was. It was at its max CC, and they come out with 1000. We're blowing up. He was just kidding. We couldn't catch him. And Ben he ran away with it that year.
Yeah, Ben's another extraordinary talent coming from America for sure. And those are the days, man. The RC51. I actually got a 2003 RC51. It's been one of my dream bikes, and I finally got one. So
a 3-piece frame.
Yeah.
I hated changing the engine. I don't know if you've ever done one, man.
No, I haven't.
All it's there is the front wheel and the frame. Everything comes off.
The back.
It all comes off.
Yeah, it's they're beautiful bikes, man. You know, it was Honda built that purposely to beat Ducati at their own game in the V twin, and it was very successful. Matter of fact, it was an iconic bike for Nicky Hayden. Let's be honest, here in America, right? It was the 04 RC51.
I think Nicky was the only one that could handle that beast.
Yeah,
and make a turn.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, that was a great year when Nick won. You know, I want to say. Everybody talks about people in that, and we really need to talk about Nicky Hayden and Merlin Plumley at some time, because those guys are some of the greatest people I've ever met.
Let's do it now.
And you know, their name needs to be heard. And the only one that I hear about it is their family. Marta doesn't. She's gone. She's been remarried, but Merlin taught me so much. You know, and Nicky taught me a lot. I've had a lot of conversations with those guys, and Merlin. We need not forget these guys. You know, we talk about guys over in Europe. We can't forget about our guys here. That gave so much. You know.
I named my son Hayden Rossi after Nicky Hayden and Valentino Rossi. Right, I'm a huge Nicky Hayden fan. I always have been. I remember when I my wife now, but my girlfriend back then, when I was like, I'm this motorcycle nut, she's like, okay, whatever. And then when I introduced to her, she's like, and I brought her home, she's like, holy shit, you were not joking, was you? I was like, absolutely not. I was like, these are my two favorites. As soon as she seen Nicky Hayden, first thing she said was, he's the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my life, and those teeth are just in that smile. I was like, let's go. You know,
very religious family.
Very religious. Yes.
Yeah.
They were, I remember, man, I met Nikki Hayden so many times. I got so many autographed pictures and books from him and Earl and Tommy and Roger. One thing that always stood out to me about Nikki was he was this super energy ball of nothing but this positive energy no matter what, and always was smiling no matter what.
Always thinking about racing.
Always thinking about racing. Like I remember what was it? It was at Indy. I don't think he raced that weekend because the following weekend he broke his wrist, I think. And I have a picture with me and him, and his wrist is all bandaged up, and he's all smiles. And I actually caught him coming out of the Clinic Mobile at the time. So I was the only one standing there, and I was like, Nikki, blah, 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 blah. Right? I couldn't believe it. I'm standing there. Here comes Nikki. And by the time I got done talking to him, there was literally like thousands of people just bum rushed him and just made a crowd around him. And he stood there literally, didn't hardly say anything. He didn't have to.
Right.
He didn't have to. Right. It's just everybody's like, I love you, Nikki, blah, blah, blah. And it just smiled and pictured the whole time till everybody left. And I was like, it's a legend.
I remember an interview Greg White did with Nikki, and Greg asked him, so what are you going to do when racing's over? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know anything. I only know racing. I don't know anything outside of racing. It was like all those kids, Tommy, Roger. I mean, they're still involved. Tommy's with Estenson, flat track. You got Davy Jones over there. You got Joey Lombardo, and who came from Honda and Kawasaki. And Roger's involved in broadcasting and
commentary.
You know, Tommy's part of that Estenson. He's running the race program. So those guys don't know anything about anything except racing. Earl, I remember Earl telling me about Nick, and he's getting into the corner. He's braking way too early, and he goes, brake at the cone. So Earl, he'd go do his lap, and Earl would move the cone further into the corner. Old squirrel, and he'd go in and he'd come around again. He'd move that cone back further, deeper into the corner, and until he crashed. He goes, "That's your brake mark." Earl, the squirrel was his nickname.
Yep, the squirrel. It's you know, Hayden, you hear all those stories. Matter of fact, Roger was just on Corey Alexander and James's podcast, Pipe Dreams, which I listened to. And he was telling the story of when Nikki Hayden won the MotoGP title in 2006. He said that next morning, Nikki came and woke me up. I said, it's a new season. Let's go running. He's like, dude, that dude was just, his work ethic was just hands down the best he's ever seen.
Yeah. Yep. And that was my job. I just trained Fred. I mean, we just train all the time. We were in great shape. That's what we did. That was kind of my job in the beginning. And that's, you ever ride a bicycle with these guys? Oh my God, they kill you.
Yeah,
Motorcycle racers are strong. Hockey players are strong. They'll kill you on a bicycle. You can't keep up with them. But you just, I rode with Eric Bostrom, and he's gone. Can't keep up with them. Very strong legs, man.
Send him a text message. Look, man, I'll be at the house. Hit me up. I'll be getting the barbecue ready when you come back. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, Hayden, just that whole, what a unique family. What a unique journey, right? The only three people in the world to win the Springfield and flat track, right? Three brothers.
And finished 1, 2, and 3.
And finished 1, 2, and 3, right? Probably never happen again. Not in our lifetime.
Right.
And then, you know, the legacy of him becoming the GP. And I've heard a lot of shit from both sides of the story. Oh, Nicky didn't deserve to win the title because he only won one race, I think, that season, or two. I can't remember. 1 or 2. And I'm like, look, in order to win the title, you got to finish first. It don't matter if you win by 1 point, a half a point, 100 points.
Yeah.
You can't take it from him.
That's what Miguel said. He goes, I don't care if I win by a mile or a second.
Winning is winning. Right? Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, when me and you were talking about Carl Fogarty too, and Slick Bass, right? His mechanic.
Yeah, Slick.
So tell me about that little adventure.
Carl was tough, but he was, there's some things I can't say because it'd incriminate me. But Carl was there to win, and Slick. I met Slick when he was working for Johnny Player, the Rotary Nortons. He was with Trevor Nation and Steve Spray. And those rotaries, we go to the English matches and World Superbike, man, and those things were out there revving. And I was like, what is that? We had to compete against that. But we'd always be at Redgate. I don't know if you've ever been to Donington Park, turn 1, Redgate, man, that was where the saloon was. And at the end of World, we were very competitive on the track, but we were very close family that moved together. We were friends. But when track time came, man, it's on. But we, at the end of the day, we'd all go down to Redgate. Stephen Mertens, his dad, Raymond Roche. There's so many guys. Aaron Slight, Robbie Phyllis. Robbie's a handful, man. Boy, that guy. Always check the washing machine at a racetrack if there's any shit in it. Robbie McElnay won a prize at the end of the season. They had a drawing and stuff. He won a prize or something, and Robbie took it, and he took the gift out and he shit in a box and put it back in the box for Rob McElnay to open. That's Robbie Phyllis.
I love it.
Man, we did so many things. God, and the Doyle crew, the Kawasaki, Matt Millett, oh my God, those guys. We just finished up at Japan. We had won the double with Scott. And Doyle, Reg O'Rourke, Radar, Dave Cullen, they were right next door to us. That's trouble. So we're all drinking beers. And we're in Malaysia now, and it's real humid. And the French are out there doing their wash, right, in 5-gallon buckets, and they're going into the town. So we jump over the fences and get their clothes, and we're back in the 5-gallon buckets, dunking them and keeping them wet while they're gone, and hanging their race gear all back up on their fence, right. And they'd come back and they're like, oh, it's humid. It's really humid, man. So they'd disappear. They'd start to dry. We're back in there dunking their clothes in the 5-gallon water buckets. And we'd hang them up, man. And their Sunday shirts and all their race gear was always wet. It's like, man, it's got to be really humid here. Doyle and those boys were trouble. Well, so were we, but you get us together. It was incredible.
I couldn't imagine the hire car stories you guys have.
The car stories?
Yeah, the rental car stories you guys have.
Okay.
I said, okay, let's go.
This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So I'm at Kawasaki with Gary Medley, Rob Muzzy, Steve Johnson. We're having dinner. And the Suzuki boys, now we're talking Mladen, Radar, Reg, and Doyle. What they did is they took all of the lug nuts off of Rob Muzzy's rental car and put the caps back on. And I come out and I came out first and they're in the bushes and they're like, shh. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? So they get in the car. We're in our own car. Team is in their own car. And I'm sitting there watching, and Steve Johnson backs up and all 4 wheels come off the car. To Rob Muzzy. Those guys you got to watch out for them. And then in Sugo is a park. It's a closed racetrack. I don't know if you've ever been there, right?
No.
Yeah, you go into a big park. It's like Monza, but it's way bigger. It's like an amusement park or something. I don't know. But we were drinking that night, and they have buses that get you in and out and around the park and that. So we jump in this bus, and I'm trying to figure out, I started it up. So let's get a bunch of beers. So I stole the bus, and we're driving all the way around the park in this bus drinking. Oh my God.
I love it.
Just out of control. At Daytona, how many people drove their car into the water and left it?
That lake right there? Yeah, let's go.
The big lake.
Yeah.
But there's so much. Um, um, Matt Mladen. His name is Matt. Adrian Gorst. Do you know Adrian Gorst from Loctite Yamaha? Remember
I
him?
I remember him. Yeah.
What they did is they stuffed shit in the vents of the car, and it's hot out. So when they turned on the AC, oh my God, I just can't even tell you. These guys were so out
You're
of
like, what
control.
is that smell?
That's how you got to watch your ass, okay? You don't know if you're next because everybody's going to get theirs. But I could not believe they did that.
I
Turn
love
on
it.
the AC and it's like, oh
What
my
the-
God.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There's more. I'd incriminate myself.
Nah, you're good, man. I don't want you to do that.
That's some good
We'll have
stuff
this
though.
off cameras. Yeah. Well, this will be off camera. Yeah. Conversation, but that's, again, it's this journey you've had, Danny's, is so unique. In not only that, the people you've had the honor to be in the presence of and work with and become friends with and share life stories and situations that real friends talk about, right? Such an amazing journey,
Like rivals, and then we end up being best friends.
and that's one thing I love about our product. I want to get we got 2 comments real quick. My buddy Yeti, he says, "Let's fucking go." You already know, bro. And then my buddy Dustin Corner, track days. He says Central Coast Sports Bikes tuning suspension at WSMC.
Yes, Dustin. I remember him. Good dude, man. There's so many.
Yeah.
I'd see him at track days, and he was running the show down there. I know he's involved in something right now. I haven't run into him for a while, but I know who he is. A good dude, man.
Yeah, he's a good
Really
buddy of
good
mine.
dude.
Yeah,
And then I ran into him, and he goes, Danny, and I looked at him, and he lost a lot of weight.
yes, he
And
did.
I looked at him, and it's like it's Dustin Coiner, and I went, oh, good. What's happening? You just didn't. I couldn't recognize him. He lost a lot of weight. Looked
Yeah, he's
really
a
good.
man. Yeah, he's I always enjoy the time I get to spend with Dustin in real life when I see him at the track, right? Because he's obviously in California. I'm in Virginia, but yeah, he has a podcast, talking motorbikes. And he just started something new with a bunch of other guys called Throttle Sauce too. So plug. There you go, Dustin. Big shout out, Throttle Sauce. Yeah, you guys go check it out, man.
Yeah.
He's doing big things, man. So yeah, man. I want to talk a little bit about Anthony Gobert, man. He was always another one of my favorites growing up. For me, Gobert was like his nickname, the Go Show. It was a different energy, different. Like I'll never forget. Was it Phillip Island? He took his full leather suit on. He was standing on the podium in his underwear and throws it off. I was like, "This is what I'm talking about. This is my guy right here." Right?
I think he had pink hair that day.
He did. Absolutely, he did. Right? So,
Yeah.
tell us about your experience with the Go Show, bro.
Anthony came 94. He was a wild rider, wild ride car for Terry Reimer was our teammate.
Yep, Terry
And he
Reimer.
pulled Terry, and Anthony came in, and we had just met him, and he was there to fight off Carl and try and get in front of Carl and get Scott out front, which we could have won the championship, but we didn't. Carl ended up winning it. But I remember the first leg. Anthony's hanging behind Scott, and Carl's going. He's gone, starting to go, and Scott just went around and took his arm out and go on, go get him. And Anthony took off and actually beat him. And Scott was like, I can't catch him. I'm done. I'm in your way. Go, just go. He moved out of the way and let him go. But Anthony gave us a double at Phillip Island. He rode the wheels off my bike. But that year when Anthony came in, we're going in, that was 94, 95 came, it was Scott Russell and Anthony Gobert. And then Scott mid-season went to 500 GP Suzuki.
Yep.
He left.
Lucky strike.
He left. So Anthony had 4 super bikes in the truck. and he was throwing them away, and Tony Romo and myself and Mazunori Suzuki was the other guy with Gary Medley, and he'd throw one away, and I just go get another one and go down to Tech, and all I did was keep building bikes under Anthony. That was my job because I didn't have a rider. So you guys as mechanics don't have to worry about fixing shit. Get me the bike. I'll build him another bike. Here's another one. And he had 4 super bikes underneath him. He'd throw 2 away in a weekend. We didn't fix them. We just go get another one. So he rode, he had the most raw talent I've ever seen of anybody. And he could ride anything. I mean, setup, just let's go. Anthony could ride anything. And he did. He was easy to work with. Like you had said, he's just laid back. Life got the best of him. He wanted to be a rock star, and look what happened to him. I mean, I remember seeing him at Vance and Hines, and he had started having these tattoos that were like, what is going on here? Who are you hanging out with? What type of people? And I just think he got caught up in some wrong stuff, and even Terry Vance had said, he wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
He lived a rock star life. But the family, I knew his dad, his mom, Susan, Bivo, I think was what they called him, Bivo. And then Alex and Azza, who I worked with all 3 of them.
Yep.
But Anthony, he rode the wheels off my bikes. I mean, unbelievable. He podiumed a lot.
To me, besides Casey Stoner, both of them are Australian too, right? Has the most natural talent I've ever seen of any motorcycle racer.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just a pure ability to jump on any bike, regardless of setup, and you sit back and go, "Holy shit, dude!"
Yeah.
Like it's incredible, right?
He instead of making in the chicane, he'd just go right straight through it. Yep. Right over the dirt, right over the curb, and bikes in the air, squibbing all over the place.
And he's just this, like, let's go. That's it.
I ain't gonna turn it. I'm going right through it. And he would. He'd hit dirt. He'd hit right over the top of the rumble strip.
Matter of fact, let me look. I got matter of fact, I got my right there. It is. There's Anthony Gobert's 1999 signed poster. Yep, from Phoenix International Raceway, right there. Yeah, man. Always one of my heroes. Of course, Joey Dunlop. We had mentioned that earlier, but I just want to know.
I knew the Haslams. I knew all those guys. I mean, they were all there.
Rocket Ron. Yeah, dude. So earlier he was talking about the only races I've been overseas was Cadwell Park, which is one of my favorite racetracks for BSB. And I went to Brands Hatch. So to me, BSB right now as we speak is my favorite production racing series in the world. It's raw. It's got so much talent. The tracks are so unique. They're racing super bikes with hardly any electronics on it at all, right? So it's all down to the old school proper way of racing.
Right.
But I always wanted to go to Magello's always been on my bucket list.
Yep.
Mazzano, of course, Phillip Island. Man, there's actually a bunch of them. But, your journey and your career is taking you to so many historical racetracks with so many historical racers, right? You got so many stories to tell. I just don't my brain's going crazy right now. Danny, don't really do that because I got so many questions. It's like it's all popping up at one time. Let me ask you this. So let's take it back to the Haydens real quick. We already talked about Nikki. Tell me the differences between Roger, Tommy, and Nikki as far as riding and their approach to racing.
Tommy was the calmest, I think. He's very, very quiet. You say, I think he was very, very quiet. I remember when we went to Daytona, first time he was on a super bike, and he did his out lap, and then he did a lap, and he came in and he sat on the pit wall, and I go, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "No." Daytona scared the shit out of him. Roger, they called him the Dirt. there's a reason. Roger was always in the dirt, right? Um, Nick, Nick was Nick really wanted to find his setup. Tommy was more really smooth. He was really smooth. Um, Roger didn't really care. I mean, he rode stuff. It was leaking oil. He still had it wide open. He just never cared. I remember him going up Road America and you could see smoke coming off and like just he had it pinned. He didn't care.
Love it.
But all of them are different. Everybody's different. The riding style is different. Do they ride off the front of their teeth? Are they like a backseat rider like Merkel was? He sat back in the saddle, cutting his teeth off the front tire. Were they like Fogarty's head and James Whittam? They were way out here. It just depends on the setup that I was going to do for them, and their riding style and their position. It's just you have to. Nobody's the same. I had talked about with my friend Ryan a little while ago, and they'd say, how much is the rider weigh? It really doesn't matter what the rider weighs. What is his talent? I need to know what his talent is and how he rides on that bike. Where is he on the bike? So I studied a lot of corner work. I did a lot of corner work looking at guys.
What about like Eric and Ben Bostrom, right? They're, again, two brothers in this sport. They were absolutely amazing human beings, super fast, a lot of success too, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the first year of bagger racing, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
Ben Bostrom was supposed to race that year.
They raced the Hooligans.
The Hooligans, that's it.
Mm-hmm. I was there when they did it.
Yep. They are definitely unique human beings. Eric, he has a thing called Backmate. The Backmate machine or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Back pain. Yeah.
I didn't work with Benny, but I did work with Eric, and Eric was a deep individual. He studied, he read books that were this thick, The Black Hole, We'd Be on Planes, and just like very interested. He was very interested in a lot of things besides motorcycle racing. But we worked with Eric when I was at Kawasaki, and I had gone to Suzuka, which is a motorcycle track. And there's no NASCAR, there's no Indy, there's none of that, none of the entry chatter and exit chatter. It was a super smooth racetrack. And I was looking at Kawasaki's shim stacks on their front forks and their shock. And I was blown away at it. I was looking at this thing and knowing what I was building. So I took the sheets, and it's like, I'm taking these, I'm bringing them back. And I went to Kawasaki and I showed Al Ludington, and I go, I'm going to build this and we're going to go test this. And we went to Button Willow, and the stacks were like 40% thicker on what we were doing. The oil levels were so much higher. The fork springs were soft and everything. We were running like clickers on a front end. You got 26 clicks. We were running like 7, 8, 9, 10. And I was like, what about 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way to 26? I was always wondering about this other side. No one was there. We'd go to Olean's and go, no, this is the dyno sheet we're running, and this is what works here. And I'm like, it isn't working. So I brought these back to Kawasaki before the race season started. And I told Preston, I need 5 front forks and I need 5 rear shocks. And he goes, that's a lot of money. And I go, well, I got a shock dyno over there in the corner that isn't doing anything. I haven't seen it move since I've been here. So sell that and get me the stuff I need. And he went and got me the stuff I need. And I built, from that first generation, I built 4 generations off of what Kawasaki was running on that smooth racetrack. And we went to Button Willow and we ran every one of them. And we took the best of all of them, rear shock and front fork, and we brought it back to Kawasaki, and I built 4 more generations off of that. And we did that 5 weekends in a row. And we hit our mark where Eric was, we were running 8.5 front fork springs. We were running like a 55, 60 degree, 60 mil oil level off the top. And we're running 16, 17, 18, 19 wide open with maybe 2 turns, 3 turns of preload. And the bike was flat when it goes into the corner. And when you got off the brakes, the front end didn't come up and you're hitting apex and you're waiting for the corner to come. and waiting to pick up the throttle. This bike was turning like Bezecchi's bike or Cam's bike this year. It had edge grip that was incredible, and it turned. It turned. He could get underneath you and hold the line all the way through. So that's when I look at those bikes, that was what our bike was doing. And I always felt the corner starts as soon as you roll off the throttle. You're going into the corner. You're getting set up to get into the corner. And people would ask me, when's it start? It doesn't start there. To me, it starts way back there because you've got to get into the corner. And we found a setup that you get onto the brakes, and when you hit apex, you're starting to pick up, and the front isn't coming up. The bike is staying down at a pretty good 1G level, and it's staying down all the way through the corner. And if you look at Cam's bike, look at how it works. It goes in flat and it comes out
flat, yeah.
And it hooked up. So that's when I really hit my mark with suspension. It was like I got this stuff, and I did. I was done in 2004. We won Graves Yamaha with Asa Gobert on the 1,000 Superstar, and I was done. And Chuck wanted me to continue, and I go, Chuck, I'm done. There's nothing left for me to win. I don't need to win a Daytona. I don't need to win a CC 600 AMA championship. I don't need to win a world champion. I don't need to win any of it, And it was time for me to walk away. But the passion that I have for racing, I left it at the racetrack, and I leave it there for a reason, is because I get to go back and get it. That's why I go back, because I left it there. And the only way I could have it back is to go get it.
Yep.
And I love it. I just love it. I want to keep my network going. I love racing. I love it. It's in my blood.
Yep, absolutely it is. So, in your opinion, all these proper mega motorcycles you built for, all these legends of the sport, what was your favorite motorcycle you've ever built?
Kawasaki was the most rider-friendly, mechanic-friendly bike. It's one of my favorites. We really did a lot on it. We lost to Matt that year. We won the 600cc championship, but Matt was only running one class. We were running two. Yeah. And you got to realize we had 4 bikes, 2 600s, 2 super bikes. It was Joey, me, and Al. We had 3 people, and we won the championship 600cc, and we finished second to Matt. So to me, that was a really great accomplishment. We almost beat him. That would have been something, but I've watched Matt on the track, and oh my God, the guy.
He's a different animal.
Yeah.
He
go watch him at Road Atlanta on some tapes. And as they come down the hill under the bridge into that right-hander, everybody's in second. Matt's grabbing third. And you wonder at the end of his lap that he's a second quicker than you, and he's a 1/10 here, 2/10 here, 1/10, 1/10 on everywhere. And that's where he made his gaps. I used to work corners all the time, and I'd look at what the guys were gearing they were in and just where they were picking up the throttle. And Matt was he's picking it up, and you're still rolling through the corner, and he's in another gear.
Yeah, just he was special. I remember listening to him. I know Matt. We were talking at Jersey, and one thing I was telling him about, he had his 2 daughters with him, and I was like, man, it always amazed me. Was it Infineon? He was coming out of left-hand corner, and he would always work his clutch coming out of the corner. And I was like, dude, what are you doing with that? Right? Like, I always wondered that. I seen it, but never asked him. It was just his way of, I forget the way he put it. I don't want to mess it up, but it was his way of controlling the slip and the power at the same time, and keeping the drive going. Right.
Yeah.
If that's correct.
I would say so.
And it was just amazing to watch, because I've never seen nobody do that ever. He was so unique in the way he rode and his approach to it. To me, he was one of the true Spartans of the industry. I'll put it that way.
He was fast. He was so fast.
And inch perfect. He was the Lorenzo before Lorenzo. Just inch perfect every lap. It's incredible. It really is. So
when I first met Matt in Australia, he was really young with Kawasaki with Peter Doyle, and he was playing video games. And I'm looking at this kid going, "You're a road racer playing video games." But he turned out to be something else, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Look, Danny, we're already an hour into this podcast almost.
Oh, where'd it go?
Bro, it goes by so quick, right?
Yeah.
One question I do want to ask you, you being in the golden days of road racing to where it is now, what are the major changes you see in our sport?
The old 500 GP, man, there were light switches. Those guys rode a wild horse. They were amazing riders. With the MotoGP, they've got launch control, wheelie control, traction control, pit lane. It's like all you got to do is hold the bike wide open, and it takes care of itself. I wish it would go back. I think a lot of things would change. I'd like to see. There's really no factory support for a lot of these guys. I look at like JD Beach, and he's not getting the tires that the other guys are getting. He's riding 1,000 stock and he's finishing 6th, 7th. Can you imagine if he had better tires and maybe a factory ride? You know, but you got World Superbike. They're almost as fast. MotoGP, and I was talking to Richie Dorn, and they're saying that the thousands are going away because they're not selling them, and the insurance is too high. And what they're going to do with MotoGP and World Superbike can't be faster than MotoGP. I don't think that would be a good fix. I don't think that would be right. But I don't know. I just think everybody should get a fair shake, and get good tires. I mean, why can't you get good tires? I don't know. I didn't understand that when I talked to JD. I thought that was bullshit
What do you
because
think?
he could have finished. He could have finished better.
Yeah, I agree. JD's Jiggy Dog is an absolute legend of the sport, man. He's another one of those that's super cool, super laid back, always willing to smile and give that picture and that autograph. And watching him ride, I was at Mid Ohio. I was a lollipop guy at Mid Ohio from Moto America, and he won that race. And he come by at that last left hand corner, up on that back wheel, all the way down the front straight. I was like, "Woo, let's go!" Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I would love to see tire wars back in our sport. To be honest with you. I'd love to see Pirelli and Bridgestone and Michelin and all them with Dunlop back in Moto America and bring that rivalry back, right? I think it would give the privateers an opportunity to actually get some tire support, cost the lower of tires, and bring the technology back to the wars again.
Yeah. When I worked with Dunlop in doing track day setups for Dennis Smith at Willow Springs, and guys would go from a Dunlop tire to a Pirelli. They go, it's going to change your whole profile of your bike. If you pick a tire that you're going to stay with and build your bike around it, because you can't go from a high profile Dunlop tire to a low profile Pirelli. Well, the Pirellis are more pliable. Then stay on a Pirelli and set your bike around that. Don't be changing tires. They should have different tire manufacturers out there. I believe so. You got Bridgestone here, and then you've got Dunlop here, and then I think Pirelli's moving in now.
Yep.
But yeah, tires are everything.
Dude, that's what makes the lap times, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important part of the bike is those two black round things we call the front and the rear tire. That's it, right? It's and the rider and right here in between the ears and the rider. That's it. The tires and this. That's the most important. So yeah, man, for sure. Danny, dude, listen, your whole journey, there's so many more questions that I want to ask, and there's so much more to talk about. We're definitely going to do a part 2 on this. So after this, just stay on with me. So go ahead and schedule that.
Sure.
But I want to transition to the next part where we get to know Danny away from all the crazy, beautiful circus of motorcycle racing. And focus on, you as a person and what you do away from all this. I see your wall is absolutely amazing. It's nothing but a sea of number ones and Fred Merkel and Eric Bostrom and Scott Russell and Miguel Duhamel, right? I got all those posters up on my wall too as well.
Doug Poland.
Dude, legend, right? Yeah. First question I have for you, my friend. Tell us something we don't know about you at all.
Well, I talked to you. I was a commercial pilot. before I got into racing. When I got out of racing, I opened up a high performance race shop with Dennis Smith at the Dunlop Tire Center. And I had a guy come in and he wanted Olean suspension on his bike. And I go, Dan, that's like 10 grand. He goes, put it on. I'm like, great customer, right? I put it on. He came in and paid me $100 bills. And I go, so are you a drug dealer? And he goes, no, no. And I go, the only person I know that carries money like that is a drug dealer. And he's like, no, it's nothing like that. So he comes in a couple of weeks later. He goes, I want race tires. I'm going to go on the track. I want double compound tires. I go, they're probably $800. Put them on. So I did. He paid me $100 bills. And I go, are you sure you're not a drug dealer? And he goes, no, I do. I work at fire camp. And I go, what the hell's fire camp? Like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts? And he goes, no, I work at prison and I work at a low-level camp, and they do transfer of custody to Cal Fire, and they go and fight the fires. And he goes, I made 50 grand in like 2 months in overtime, and get me a job. So I ended up going to the police academy, and I was a retired officer of the Department, State of California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, and I retired from that. So I was in level 4 or 5. I don't know if people know that, but I got jacked up pretty good in there. You know, I got hurt. It's a crazy place, man.
I can only imagine.
Dark. It's very dark.
I can only imagine, Danny. Yeah, I can only imagine, my friend. That's crazy. Yeah, it's again, you know, it's the sum of your whole life, man, is a beautiful journey. Everything you've been involved with, everything you've done leads you to this point right now, right? Everybody you worked with, it's
I never had a plan.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
I just went with it.
I love it. I love it, but only if we were all so lucky, right? Let's be honest.
I tell people all the time, very, very blessed, very lucky, very fortunate, right place, right time.
Yes.
And I believe, Chris, that everybody has exceptionalism in them.
100%.
I took a risk.
Yep.
And go for it. If you want something, go for it. When I left for Europe, I went to this guy and I said, listen, this is what's going on. And I have this job here. And he goes, Danny, get the hell out of here. Go to Europe, do a contract for a year. If you don't like it, you can always come back here because this will never change. And I went and I never came back.
That's right.
And Greg Wood is another one that asked me, what should I do with Ben Spies when he was having trouble over in World Superbike? And I go, Woody, go, because it'll transform your life and you'll travel the world and you can always come back here because that's what they told me. And he ended up winning a world championship. I get goosebumps for him. It's like, you take the risk. Seriously.
And what a reward.
He took a risk. He left his family. He walked away from everything, you know? Good on you, Woody.
Yep. Proud of you, man. Yeah, what a journey. It's absolutely awesome. Let me ask you this, man. What's your worst habit, Danny?
Oh man, I can't tell you that.
This is off-camera talk right here.
Well, I got over my worst habit. Put it that way. It's gone.
Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. Well, let me ask you this then. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Do you do the same as well?
I read some books. I had a friend of mine. It took 4 years. I met him on a motorcycle in Newport Beach. I don't even know, when I was 20, right before I left for Europe, 22 years old, 23 years old, I met him. He crashed his motorcycle at the end of we were at a party and he's driving his motorcycle down the street and it ends. It's the boardwalk. And he crashed into it and we went and got him out of the sand. And he wrote a book called Magna Mindset. His name's Bruce Danielson. And it's about elite mindset of world-class producers, which I felt all of us that are doing so well in racing have that same mindset. It's elite. And that's what takes you to those limits. That's one I read. Great book, Magna Mindset, Bruce Danielson. And then the Neville Goddard Handbook about manifestations and techniques and teachings. So my wife is she's trying to help me out.
I love it.
Read this book.
Yeah, right. My wife, she reads a lot too. She's into witchcraft and smut books and all that shit. I don't read. But I just got done listening to Change Your Mind, Change Your Diet, or Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. I can't remember. Uh, but I just started The Art of Racing in the Rain. That's the new book that I started listening to. So that and podcasts, of course, I listen to podcasts too as
Yeah.
well. So yeah. If you had one superpower, what would your superpower be, Danny?
Invisible.
I like it. I like it.
I want to be invisible.
I'd like to. I would do teleportation.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, I'd be like, Danny, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna do your podcast. We're gonna do it live right next to you. I'll be there in a minute. Boom. There I
Yeah,
am. Right.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Be like, hey, I'm going to Phillip Island. I'll see you guys later on in a couple hours. Boom.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you have any superstitions?
I believe in ghosts.
There you go. Right. Let's go.
I welcome. Bring it on, man.
Let's go. Let's have a chat.
I am not afraid of them. I've
I've
seen some things. I know it sounds crazy. Stuff has moved, and it's just like, okay, do it again.
Yeah.
Let me see it this time. You know.
Let me see it. Yeah. Be here. Let me see you. Where you at?
I don't know, man. I just think they're around.
Yeah. I can't disagree because I feel the same, my friend. I really do. Are you currently binge watching anything on TV you can recommend to anybody?
My wife got me into criminal stuff. I mean,
You sound like my mom. Criminal Minds and all this stuff. My wife's the same way. Yeah.
I love Forensic Files and just all that. Being in prison, working in prison. I like the dark stuff. Really attracts me.
Yeah.
You know, it really does, and it's really dark in there. But what I found out inside the big house, the level 4-5, it's all about respect, and just keep that. It's a big city. Just have respect.
Yep. I love it, man. You're right. I love horror flicks, and I watch the same stuff too. So
Don't go behind the door.
Yeah. I'm the worst guy to watch. I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you go there? Like, what? And my wife's like, shut up. I'm like, no, let's. Yeah. I love it, man. Let me ask you this, man. If you could travel back to any era of time, what era of time would you travel back to?
After World War II.
Love it.
My dad told me it was the greatest time, and that's when America was built. Yeah. My dad came back. It was the greatest time for America, and look what everything that happened. Look where we're at today. So those times, he said, was the greatest times of his life. So I'd like to go back there.
110%. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Absolutely. What's your go-to karaoke song, bro? If me and you were out at the bar, what are we singing?
I'll freak out.
Let's go.
I'll freak out.
I love it, Danny. I love it. Well, listen, this has been a lot of fun, Danny. We're almost we're about an hour and 10 minutes into this. My wife just texted me, says she'll be home in about 10 minutes with dinner time. So that's my cue to go eat some dinner. But listen, I got one last question for you, and then all the shout outs we'll give, and then just stay on with me. So go ahead and schedule our part 2. The last question for you for tonight, Danny, on our part 1 of our podcast, which has been an absolute honor, my friend. Right now, as we speak, currently in Moto America, money no object, Danny can have his own team in Superbike. What is the manufacturer you would have, and who are the 2 current riders you put on your team?
BMW and Aprilia. I like how they look on the track. I'd love to be able to build that. I'm a big fan of JD Beach. I really want to see him do well. I like Richie Escalante, and I like SDK. And I like Matthew Smoltz.
Yeah.
Skoltz, is it Skoltz?
Yep. Skoltz. Matty Skoltz.
I remember that crash in the rain, and he hung onto that bike
all the way down that straight, dude. I was like, let's go, bro. Yeah.
I want that guy on my bike.
Yeah.
I was impressed, and that's a fighter. That guy's a fighter.
He is, and he's so
And
cool,
yeah,
so laid back, man. He really is. Well, listen, this has been a lot of fun, man. I got so many more questions. I'm gonna save them all for part 2 and so many more stories. So, Danny, this has been a lot of fun. First thing and foremost, before I let you end the podcast, as I do with all my friends, I just want to say thank you to everybody that watches this. If it wasn't for Danny and you guys and girls watching this with all the likes and subscribes and all that, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. So it's nothing but love to each and every single one of you
yeah.
out there. I really appreciate it. I really do. If you had not yet, please go hit that like and subscribe. It does help me out a whole lot. Big shout out, man. There's so many people I give a shout out to all the time. You guys and girls know who you are.
Can I give a shout out?
Danny, the floor is all yours. Give all your shout outs where people can find you, all that good stuff. And then when I end this, just down with me for a second.
I just want to
go ahead. No, go ahead. The floor is all yours, my friend.
There's so many people that gave me the ability and helped me in my career. And I got a shout out to them. And the first one is Oscar Rumi. Rumi Motorsports gave me my chance. Fred Merkel, Norris Farrow, Merlin Plumley, Gary Medley, Rick Hobbs, Chuck Graves, Giulio Bardi, Beppo Russo, Danielle Pappy, Fabrizio Pirovano, Kevin Arian, Tom Halverson, Doug Chandler, Scott Russell, Al Luddington, Joey Lombardo, Rob Muzzy, Kenny Roberts, Davide Brivio, Carlo Fascetti, Greg Wood, Josh Hayes, Ben Spees, Ray Plum, Davy Jones, John Ethel, Dan Fahey, Ashley Pearson, the Beaker Man, Tony Maxwell, Parlo Caminati, Mauro Colombo, Mauro Celapico, Tony Romo, Raymond Roche, much respect for that man, Jim Roach, Ryan Smith, and Brian Drebber.
What a legends of a list, bro. Dude. Bro,
there's more.
I know
there's more.
I know. I'm speechless. It's been an absolute honor. Danny,
yeah,
thank you so
much.
I
love you, man. It was great.
Dude, I love you too, man. Just down with me for 1 second. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it was an absolute honor to sit down with my friend and the legend Danny Hall. You guys stay put. Part 2 will be coming up here shortly. Danny, thank you so much for coming on, and we will see you shortly, my friends.
Okay, man.
Until then, see you guys.
It's an honor, man.
Absolute honor. Danny, just down with me for a second, okay?
Yep.
Right.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.